Hey everyone, welcome back to Alpha Insights. I'm Mark.
And I'm Hope. Great to have you with us today. And hey, if you have questions while you're listening, drop them at stockalpha.ai.
So, the real question here is, did 1 week in Los Angeles just reprice an entire industry?
Yeah, that's exactly what felt like happened. The big optics conference wrapped up this week, and the message was loud and clear. The bottleneck for big AI clusters has shifted from chips to how those chips talk to each other.
Right. And the catalyst that kicked this into overdrive was a major strategic move by NVIDIA earlier this month, a $4 billion commitment split between two big optics suppliers. That sent a clear signal the industry takes optical interconnect seriously. I mean, when you look at the data, copper just can't scale cleanly past 800 gig and into the terabit realm without huge power and heat problems. So companies are engineering around that with fiber, co-packaged optics, and new laser approaches.
Exactly. And what I find interesting is that NVIDIA didn't say, we're going all optical tomorrow. They basically said it's a hybrid on-ramp. You need both more copper capacity and a lot more optical capacity. That keeps demand for both technologies intact.
Yeah, that's a good point. Before we get deeper, quick legal note. This discussion is informational only, not investment advice.
Right. We're explaining the market and the tech, not telling folks to buy or sell anything.
Okay, let's walk through the pieces that mattered at the show. First up, the institutional side. One photonics company demonstrated a pretty broad co-packaged optics portfolio and is getting added to the S&P 500 before the end of the month. That inclusion is a mechanical event that brings passive index flows into the sector.
And that matters because index inclusion isn't just a headline. It's institutional legitimization. Passive funds that track the index will end up owning optical infrastructure names whether they planned to or not. And that can create durable demand for the stock.
Short reactions. Right.
Interesting.
Now, the demand math is what really convinced people. Industry forecasts put 1.6 terabit module shipments jumping from about 2.5 million units last year to something like 20 million units this year. Another research firm says 800 gig and above transceivers could go from about 24 million units to nearly 63 million units in the same span.
Those are the kind of leaps that create a supercycle. And silicon photonics is expected to take a big share of the high-end 1.6 terabit market as hyperscalers standardize on it.
But there's a manufacturing wrinkle here. Silicon photonics routes and modulates light well, but silicon doesn't generate light. You need external light sources, and scaling that coupling has been a real engineering bottleneck.
Which is why you saw a lot of attention on companies solving that ELS, external light source problem. Some firms are building hybrid architectures that bond laser materials directly to silicon to avoid inefficient wire bonds and thermal issues.
Exactly. And at the show, there were two clear strands. The big, diversified optics suppliers that look institutional, and the more bespoke plays trying to be the missing link in the stack.
On the revenue front, one provider that people point to as proof the market is real posted record quarterly revenue of about $134.27 million, up about a third year over year, and full-year revenue last year of about $455.72 million, which is roughly 82% growth year over year.
They also guided the next quarter to roughly $150 to $165 million. And suggested full-year revenue could top $1 billion. Plus, they locked in a $200 million volume order for 1.6 terabit transceivers later this year. That is real commercial traction.
And they announced major capacity expansion, a big new manufacturing campus in Texas with production targets that aim to scale monthly output dramatically over the next year. Management said current demand for 800 gig and 1.6 terabit is outpacing production capacity through next year.
On the test and measurement side, one company came in low-key but critical. Their gear validates the whole thing. You can't deploy 1.6 terabit networks at hyperscaler scale without rigorous testing. So test platforms, probe microscopes, and field validation tools are a kind of toll road that everybody pays.
That makes it an architecture-agnostic play. Whether the hyperscalers pick silicon photonics, INP, co-packaged optics, or a hybrid, they still need validation equipment. And that company's products earned multiple industry awards at the show, which matters for credibility.
Then there are direct beneficiaries of that earlier $4 billion strategic move. Two laser and photonic suppliers were named as strategic partners and are getting multi-year purchase commitments and capacity access. One of them is also joining the S&P 500 on the same timetable as that other institutional optics supplier we mentioned.
That simultaneous index addition is pretty symbolic. It tells the markets that optical infrastructure is now seen as core infrastructure for the broader economy, not just a niche tech play.
Moving to the more speculative angle, there are companies offering hybrid interposer platforms that bond 3-5 laser materials to silicon, which could solve the scaling issue for external light sources. One of those firms showed prototype engines, won a top industry award, announced partnerships with established module makers, and raised about $150 million earlier this year to fund commercialization.
That raise materially changes the conversation about balance sheet risk. With that cash, they can fund product development, scale pilots, and execute joint development agreements without immediate dilution. Still, their next quarterly report will be watched closely for revenue signals and customer qualification timelines.
Bottom line, this week's events felt less like product demos and more like a capital markets reset. Announcements, demos, partnerships, index moves, all of it reinforced the view that optical interconnect is a present tense market, not a someday story.
So, quick recap from us.
1. The interconnect bottleneck is real. Optics are the on-ramp to higher AI scale.
2. The demand math shows massive unit growth in 1.6 terabit and 800 gig and above transceivers this year, supporting a multi-year uptick in optical infrastructure spending.
3. Institutional moves, index additions, and multi-billion-dollar strategic commitments are repricing the sector right now.
And 4, infrastructure plays like test and measurement and companies solving the external laser source problem are central to commercialization, and they deserve attention from a technology and supply chain perspective.
All right, that's our take. Remember, this is market color and technical context, not investment guidance.
Got questions? We'd love to hear from you. Head over to stockalpha.ai, where you can ask us anything in the Q&A feature and we'll answer live. And while you're there, check out more market content.